One more piece for the pile. Hello and welcome to the 34th episode of the Chambler build series, where we get the passenger side firewall complete from the center all the way over to the edge, top to bottom. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start mocking up the center over to the passenger area. I've already got some pieces and some cardboard in place. I'm going to see what I have to do to form this area and bend that lip down. I'm also going to see what I can do to fit a fake heater core in this area and make sure I actually sort of have enough size. Most of the aftermarket heater cores that I found are about 10 by 10 by 5. This box is 10.5 by 14 by 5.5, and it does fit, so it's a good approximation. So I should be able to just go ahead and forego this for the time being, because I should have enough space in here, even with having to move this box with one hand and a cord. To go ahead and get the heater core in this area, the upper inner dash piece is here. The dash is out. I should still have room for a glove box. Not that I'm super worried about it at the moment, but I should have enough space to, there's still going to be enough space down here for feet for the most part. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I'm going to figure out what I can afford and get one on order, because it's important to me to actually be able to, have heat, defrost the windows and stuff. I got the first panel in on the passenger side. I'm going to try to make this out of one piece as opposed to the 2.5 pieces I made on the other side. Since this side is going to be so much different with the pieces that I've shown you, I need to try to make this as simplistic as I can, and also I'm really running out of time. This is probably the most aggressive I've been at just simply making and forcing a panel to fit. I'm doing about a panel a day, which is extremely slow for the time frame, but it's what I can physically do, so here it is. I'm likely going to have to move you around a bit. I'm going to weld these in first. Then I'll start to move this. I'm going to peel and pull this in, and then I'll address the top stuff. Just a little massaging. Two more welds to go. One at the bottom, one where the bend meets. That patch panel is as welded in as it's going to be. I'm gonna have to cut a test piece the full length of this and figure out how I'm going to do this and where I'm going to curve this or flatten it or plunk it on the backside and stiffen it this way. Not sure yet. That's why I left the extra material. I'll shape this as I need to once I have a down piece and I know where I'm going. The next step is going to be to trim the lower firewall and Cherokee frame rail area. Do that down and we'll figure out where I'm going from there. Those two factory spot welds that are marked with red ink, I'm going to go ahead and drill those out, and then I can pop the bottom plate off and cut that piece off. I hate cutting good metal out, but this isn't good. One more piece for the pile. I'm gonna clean all this crap up, figure out where I'm gonna cut it along here, and get to moving. Go ahead and cut the rocker and the floorboard material with that line, remove what I don't need, and start forming the pieces. I left this here on it. I'm gonna try to pound it flat, give me another service, and I'll trim it back up even, but it's just gonna be a strange little crosshatch in here. Whee! As you can see, there's going to be some issues trying to connect the top and the bottom to the Cherokee and the Rambler all together. I'm likely going to have to make at least 3 pieces, probably one that goes from the top to about where this edge is. And then I'll have to figure out something for the bottom over to here, and likely something up at the ledge, because I still think I'm going to put a battery in there somewhere. It's about the only space I've got. I'll start making some CAD paperwork and see what I can figure out. Went ahead and used the driver's side template for the lower rocker to inner frame rail area to make the passenger side lower rocker to inner frame rail area. We'll go ahead and clean that piece up and get it prepped up, and we'll start bending and forming it. And here's one done piece. Well, prepped anyway. Now it's time to shape it. There aren't a ton of places I can get you on this passenger side of the car because there's not really any space. And try to get you as many shots I think are useful and maybe helpful to somebody if they're doing something as stupid as this in the future. And I'm probably going to be doing something as stupid as this on the next car or two as well. But, it's reference. It's educational. I'm going to go ahead and fit this panel in here as best I can. I know there's a few things I have to do first, like bend these two ears, which hopefully you can see. And once I get that kind of formed and fitting, I will start to kind of maneuver the rest of it around. Well, let's see if I screwed this up. Actually, not that bad. So I have to form it and get it tight in through here, and then I can start to peel this side down and over, because this is going to be at a different angle. This piece is going to come like that. It's as formed as I can get it without having it pinched in place and then forming it more, so let's throw it in there. Using the bottle jack to make sure that the bottom is secure. Now I go inside and clamp this piece and some of this section. I'll form this once I get most of this connected, and then I can start tweaking it down. Went ahead and did some more CAD work and figured out the size I'm going to need for the big upper sheet. I'm going to make that out of one piece. The outer bottom piece is likely going to be two pieces. I need to kind of fit the corner with the Cherokee floor and meet with the Rambler body. The plan is to make as flat an area as humanly possible where the Cherokee flooring sticks through into the firewall, so I can have an area to mount electrical equipment and possibly a battery. There's going to be a lot of stuff in that general area. There's going to be two main holes for the wiring into the firewall. If you watch carefully, you'll notice this lip is much lower than this lip. It's almost even on the other side. It's nowhere near this bad. It's about a 1/4 inch on the driver's side. It's a 1/2 inch here. I thought maybe I'd had some issues when I squared the body up. Then I pulled the cap out of mothballs in the recycling bin, and it is set up the same way. So likely whatever happened in the accident, they never actually really fixed it. So everything else is square and good. I'll just have to address this, which I'll show you I'm doing with the main upper piece. I know I've had some audio issues, so I've got a wireless mic set up. I'm going to try that out the next part of this build, and hopefully it works. I went ahead and adjusted this outer flange edge up, kind of pounded it down and around. Well, it's time to go ahead and fit this formed piece in. I'm going to weld it into here, and then I will form and pinch and fold this over so that it meets these two panels. Not 100% sure what you're going to be able to see over my shoulder. Hopefully I'll be able to give you something. I'm going to hit the first weld pretty much in the center, and I'll start back up at the top, and I'll work my way down. Like I said, I'll just start moving it in, and hopefully it all works out. All the spot welds are done along here, and now I've got to figure out how I'm going to bring this over and push it in and form it a little tighter. I'm likely going to try to gently bend it in this area. Drag it in. As long as I can get a couple good welds on it and it fits nice and snug, it'll be just fine. Well, since I'm making some good progress, I'm likely going to come in here, pick a couple spots, tack this lower panel to this middle panel, and then just keep forming it in, pinch it tight, and roll it over and tuck it in. As long as I've got something to here, I can keep forming it here, but I need it to be stationary so I can pound it. I've drilled a series of holes in both the inner and outer plates. I'm going to go ahead and position them and start welding them together. It is far from pretty, but it's pretty much done, at least up until that cap. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to form. I cut all three pieces. I went ahead and formed the two pieces I have to do first. This little piece is going to go up in the area where the inner and outer firewalls meet. This is going to go on the floor. This will be the capper. I've got to put this in before I put this in, so let's get to it. So this piece is going to fit in here. It's going to butt up against my new piece that I made for the upper cowl and pinch everything up into the firewall area, connect everything together. This and the bottom piece are going to add strength because this flat piece of sheet metal is strong, but not that strong, and I don't have any way to emboss it or bead roll it or anything like that. So tying everything together should make it nice and strong. This little piece is going to fit down in there. I'll fit it up and show you once I get it in there. I seem to have lost the footage where I actually fit that piece in, but it goes where these arrows are pointing to lift that area up and give it an even place for the cap that I welded in next. Took a little longer than I wanted it to, but that cap is in and formed. I'm going to go ahead and start welding it. And it is done from the floor to the top edge of the firewall. I'm going to build the inner structure from the shock tower area back to here, up off of this cap, and I'm likely going to put an outside brace on here as well. See how it goes, see what flushes out. I know I need as much space here as I can to make sure I have room to get the heater core lines into the cab bin. So this is not a truck. Well, thank you very much for watching the 34th episode of the Chambler build series. Up next is going to be the inner fender structure, both the driver and the passenger side. Hopefully I can get them done in one video, at least that's the plan. I'm going to do it as quickly and efficiently as I can. They just need to be structural, they don't need to be pretty. Not that any of this else, other stuff was pretty, but everything's in. It's all tight and strong. I can't throw things through the car anymore. That's going to be really weird. I did promise you that I was going to pop this off, so let's do that as the crescendo to this episode. And hopefully nobody dies. Of course, nobody would be me. Well, that was anticlimactic, but actually that's good because, you know, I don't want to deal with the alternative, but this is going to give me more space in here to do things I need to do, like steering column, this cap, figure out what's going on with this because there's some more issues with the wiper motor, which I'll probably show in the next episode. I might do its own little episode. It depends on how complicated it becomes. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. I appreciate everybody very much watching. See you next time. Thanks. Oh, there they are. Looking for those.